1958, the Humboldt Times journalist Andrew Gonzoli illustrated a nice, if questionable, letter from a reader about loggers in North California who had found the mysteriously massive footprints. "Maybe we have a relative of the abominable snowman of the Himalayas," Gonzoli had jokingly written alongside the letter in his news column.
Because they're not afraid of the dark, they're afraid of what's in the dark.
No one was holding a script, and I barely even went over our script.
He never seemed to say yes to anyone.
It doesn't matter, come on, let's go!
Unrecognized device, Chrome browser, near Santa Ana.
Alright. So, hi, I'm Jonathan.
Hi, I'm Alan.
Hi, I'm Brian.
And I'm Eduardo.
And we are Semblance.
Did you want to say that together?
I mean, if you guys want. I don't know.
No, it's cool. It's because you gestured. Okay.
I needed that grandeur.
Okay.
You know, I needed that energy, you know? Because I'm a little extra. Okay, so we can go ahead and start. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is the origin of my boy Bigfoot. So Bigfoot was not actually that famous in the beginning. There was actually the abominable snowman was known before he was, and Bigfoot was started out as a one-time story in this news article, and he was dubbed Bigfoot by the writer Gonzoli, who commented, "Maybe we have a relative of the abominable snowman of the Himalayas." Bigfoot didn't gain his popularity until 1958. Loggers around that area would always say that they'd see sightings of big creatures or something going around in the woods, and dubbed them the Bigfoot because of all the big footprints that they've seen crossing the ground. There are reports before then the first article was written about a mysterious figure in the woods, but most of them didn't matter until the 50s. Once public, Bigfoot became one of the most famous and legends, and, well, as we can say, one of the biggest, but I mean, biggest, well-known creatures with unknown, fully sustainable evidence that has ever existed on this world. The evidence of Bigfoot is still not exact, and to name to news to news articles around the world, Bigfoot's name once became so infamous that they started making shows, movies, and just used his name to death until now people across North America know him as this legendary mythical creature.
These cryptids don't really get a lot of very creative names. Give Bigfoot based on the footprint. Mothman because he looks like a moth. Is that weird?
No, I don't think that's weird.
It's like a fast and easy name. You know, it's like it's like, oh, what are we gonna name this creature? Apparently he's got big feet, you know, so
you call him Big Toes.
Call him Bigfoot.
Or like creatures like in like the Jersey Devil. They just called him that because he's in Jersey.
He's in Jersey.
You ever been to Jersey?
No.
Yeah, seems like a place the devil would live.
Okay.
That's cool. I didn't realize that the abominable snowman was more famous than Bigfoot at that point.
Yeah, at a certain point, nobody even really cared nor even knew about Bigfoot until Gonzoli commented and dubbed him his name.
Yeah, and Gonzoli was the Humboldt writer, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't do any research on Bigfoot personally because I was focused on So this is all new to me. So it was funny.
Yeah,
Didn't Gonzoli write in his article? He was like, we might have found the relative to the abominable snowman from Himalayas, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
He said that.
Oh yeah. I heard everything but that part.
See, I was always under the belief that everything else stemmed from Bigfoot.
That's what I
me too,
originally thought.
That's what I originally thought too. But I mean, I did his different versions. So, yeah, obviously, I could tell, like, because these are, like, a lot of these are hundreds of years old, and Bigfoot is in very recent.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah, 60 years ago, or a little over.
Yeah.
I think it's because of the area we live in that people talk about more of the Bigfoot than they do the abominable snowman.
Yeah, because, like, I bet you if we go to, like a cold place,
yeah,
then there would be more abominable snowman kind of talks than over the Bigfoot, you know?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that whole Humboldt article, that's from Northern California, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You would think a wild, ape-like animal would tread lightly around people who are armed with a hail of bullets and aren't afraid to shoot. Surprisingly, though, as Blackstone, Virginia man and his son discovered in the early morning hours of May 3rd, 2011, Bigfoot seems to be unafraid of our mere mortal weapons. When the two heard a loud noise outside of their house, the man grabbed his pistol and the son picked up a shotgun, and they went outside to investigate, assuming that either a burglar or a bear would be found causing the ruckus. However, they were confronted by an 8-foot-tall, hair-covered humanoid creature running towards them from the nearby woods. The man posted on the BFRO website. The man yelled at the beast to stop and directed his son to shoot at it. The beast shrieked and then continued to run toward them, approaching within 15 feet before the pair returned to their house. I was in terror, the man wrote. He remembered that the Bigfoot had an unpleasant smell that really stunk and left 18 to 20-inch long footprints. An investigator who visited the man's farm and interviewed him documented a series of unusual incidents, including loud wails and slaps on the side of the house at night, suggesting that Bigfoot has paid him repeat visits.
Interesting. That's scary. That something like that would just charge at you.
Yeah.
I think what freaks me out is the end. He says that he might have visited them more than once.
Oh, yeah.
Oof. It's like, can you just imagine that thing outside of your house every other night, banging on your walls, doing something?
I'd move, personally.
I'm gone.
I'd be like, nope, I'm gonna put this house up for sale. No, thank you.
I was either Bigfoot or, like, a very large ape. Either way, I'm not having any of it.
I mean, honestly, like, whether it be Bigfoot or anything.
Well,
for me.
Another thing to bring up about that is that, like you said, apparently it could have visited more than once. But that's something I think that's not uncommon for people who experience supernatural things like this, is that they start connecting things that maybe aren't there. And I'm not discrediting this, you know? Like, maybe they did hear the same thing, but people will often do that, you know? Try to make connections that aren't there.
It's like how when people say that if you have something on your mind, you just start to frequently notice it even more. Mm-hmm. So say you said that there's no yellow cars on the road, and you have that in your mind, you start to see more yellow cars.
Yeah, I remember that happened to me one time. It was really funny.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can't for the life of me remember, but there is a name for what I mentioned, where you try to make connections that aren't there just for the sake of making connections.
Or just to keep your sanity, because like at that point, I don't know, like you saw this gigantic humanoid thing just charging at you. Like, what are you doing? Like, what is what's the reasoning going through your mind right at that point?
What would you do put in that situation?
I honestly freak out. I mean, I think I'd do the same thing he did. Like he was holding a gun. But he didn't shoot at him, and I don't think I would have shot at him either. I'd be too afraid to be like, what if I shoot him and nothing happens and he just gets more angry? Like, at that point, I'm just putting myself into more danger, I feel.
So you wouldn't risk it? Like, you wouldn't risk just taking one shot, like one clean shot, like somewhere in the shoulder, somewhere in the leg, like just shooting.
I don't think so. I personally would not. I'd be too afraid to see, like, just like, if it doesn't work, I feel like I'm screwed.
No, but you got to think of, like, I think there's still like a distance between them, right? So you shoot, doesn't work. What is your next option? Run, the other way.
You don't know how fast that thing is.
That's true.
That's true.
Also, considering that, and from my experience, most iterations of Bigfoot. I mean, considering my size, most iterations of Bigfoot are 6 feet tall. I'm not shooting something that's 6 feet tall. But personally, I don't know about you.
I think that's one of the situations where like your mind kind of goes blank, and it's really like your muscles in a way are doing the reacting.
So it's all instinct.
It's all instinct. You know, whether you shoot at Bigfoot or whether you shoot at the sky, it's kind of up to. I think it's more like the person you are. Yeah. At the moment, there's not a lot of thought put into it.
Right. And so we can talk about scenarios here, scenarios there, and we can say that this would happen. But if we were put in that situation, I don't know. It could be different.
It could be.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I don't know.
But yeah, I guess. But yeah, that's not a situation I ever want to be in personally.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
That's the main reason why I'm staying away from the woods.
Really?
I mean, there
are more reasons.
There are plenty of
natural reasons, but like
there are bears and stuff.
Mountain. I think the scariest thing is mountain lions, because mountain lions will calm down.
When's the last time you saw a bear? Come on.
Exactly. I mean, when's the last time
we saw Bigfoot?
What? You're dumb.
I don't know. I think the recent sighting was like in the last 2 years.
Something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But when's the last time you heard a bear? Like, you can hear mountain lions often, and coyotes too. I think those are more scary because you know they're there. Right?
Yeah.
Like one time I went camping and like there was a coyote eating something behind my tent. And I was just like, that's scary.
I mean,
that's not that scary. Like, but like if you think about it, coyote. Like when you say coyote, that doesn't sound scary. But if you've ever seen a coyote, it's kind of scary. They're not like, oh, like I'm gonna run away, but you're not like, oh, I'm not scared of you, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you still gotta be cautious around them because they are crafty.
Well, personally, I think any animal charging at you is a scary animal.
I mean, personally, I think size makes a big difference.
No, I don't think so. I feel like speed makes a difference.
Really? I mean, I feel like cats and dogs charging at you are not scared because of their size. Even if it were something up to your knee, I wouldn't be scared of a dog.
Or like a big pit bull, you wouldn't be scared of that?
What about a rat?
A rat?
Yeah. No. I mean, because I know some people do have fear of rats.
Okay, well, I have a fear of spiders, so...
Yeah, what if a spider charges at you?
No, definitely not. But that's a fear. That's like a phobia. You know, that's not...
I didn't realize I didn't really like rats up until recently because I've encountered so many. It's gross. And I'm not having any of it. And if one of them charges at me, I'm not doing what that kid pulled. I'm shooting right at the rat.
Also, to answer your question about the pit bull, it just depends. Because I know, like, if it's an average pit bull, probably not. I'm not running away. But if I know there's pit bulls bred to be like 300 pounds, no. I'm not. Well, not 300. What are like 100 something pounds? Yeah. Pit bulls, like I'm not trying to. I'm running away against that pit bull.
You're not trying to tussle.
No, because there's people who breed it. Like there's this. I was watching this show where they breed like these pit bulls. There's this pit bull named Hulk, and I saw him. The boy's massive, dude. I'm not. He's trained to be a guard dog, so I'm just like I'm not doing that.
Well, while on the topic of size, let's put this into perspective. Around how tall did they say that was, or did they say?
They said it was around 8 to 10 feet.
And is that like average Bigfoot size?
I feel like, yeah, I would say so. I feel like usually when you hear the story about Bigfoot, he's always large. He's typically larger than like 7 feet.
Yeah, I feel like the smallest I've heard Bigfoot made is 6 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Like the smallest.
Yeah.
But like he's never shorter than 6 feet.
Yeah, he's
because
always.
then he
really
just seems like an average human with like big feet, but that's not what he is. He's like gigantic. Like he's always in my eyes, he was always portrayed 8 feet or taller. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've heard versions. I mean, I think it's because I read a lot of like SCPs and stuff. That's like, but I've heard versions until 6 feet or something. But 6 feet to me, still massive. 6.
Oh yeah, 6 feet. I think for a couple of people is still pretty big,
and that includes me.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's it really does depend on the size, whether or not something is intimidating. So, Bigfoot being something that's no less than 6 feet is always going to be intimidating to me.
Okay. I guess I'll do my topic now, which is the different versions of Bigfoot. Well, not all of them. I'm gonna cover 4 of them. So I'm gonna start with what I thought was not that interesting. So his name, this creature's name is gonna be the Yowie. Or, I mean, I'm probably not pronouncing that right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being completely honest. But that's how I'm reading it. So it's Yowie, and it's native to Australia.
Ooh.
So
Down
I think personally that I felt the need to mention this one because for all these other Bigfoots, including the Bigfoot here in the Americas, except for the skunk ape, which I will not mention. It's just because he's in North America and I don't want to touch anything in North America.
Mm-hmm.
But this version lives in the outback, and every other version I have of Bigfoot is in the mountains. And I think that's very interesting, especially because these, according to the Aboriginals in Australia, have been recorded to be up to 12 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm just like,
That's
I mean,
tall.
yeah, and they're in the outback. So that's why I thought it was interesting. And like they're pretty much like your normal Bigfoot, except that in the outback. And I feel like that's very interesting because like a lot of people say, oh, in the forest, but I mean we've seen documentaries on the outback.
Mm-hmm.
There's like not that many trees.
Not that many.
Yeah.
trees.
Yeah, I'm like and they still have this Bigfoot thing, and it's fascinating to me how they created this Bigfoot in this area where it's flat. Like I get it in the mountains because like, all these other Bigfoots are in mountains, and it's just like
right.
They're like 12 feet. This 12-foot guy, the 12-foot thing, in the outback with kangaroos and stuff. And I'm just
chilling.
We're just chilling.
A human spots him, he just pretends to be a really tall kangaroo.
So this the Yowie, I think just one more thing I mentioned before moving on from the Yowie. The Yowie usually has two ways it's portrayed, and it's either going to be timid or shy or very aggressive. Those are the two ways it's portrayed. I mean, I didn't look up any stories on them. I was just wanting to give you like different versions of the Bigfoot, right? So like, but imagine this. Imagine a 12-foot thing like that in the middle of the outback, just charging you.
What? It's just something about Australia. What do they have in their water that makes their animals so big? Like, have you seen spiders over there?
Oh my god,
dude.
Yes, dude. I would never go.
Have you seen the kangaroos there?
Like kangaroos.
I mean,
haven't seen many kangaroos anywhere else.
Kangaroos. I think kangaroos are the least of your worries in Australia.
In Australia, yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, those boys are jacked.
4 kangaroos can
jacked.
take on one.
You talked about documentaries on the outback. The only thing I've seen is Kangaroo Jack, so I'm terrified.
Are you? It's really kangaroo. That's sad.
No,
but yeah,
but seeing something like that big, and then it's like on a vast, like, well, not empty, but like basically a vast empty like plain of field right there, charging at you. I don't know what you can do.
That's almost like comedically large, you know. That's like double some of our height. Like
that's
like
double
more.
all of our heights.
Yeah. So yeah, like that's like we're staring up if we want to look at him.
Yeah, I mean definitely.
Oh, we're staring way more than us.
I mean that's what bigger than, because the average story is what, 10 feet. That's bigger than a full story.
Oof. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't imagine he'd move that fast though for being that.
I mean,
But
I don't think so either.
But you gotta remember that like they got. I mean, he's really tall.
That
So
stride
he's obviously gotta have long legs, so his
Yeah.
stride's gonna be real long. And typically, Bigfoots are very like muscular, like kind of like like gorillas. They're like very, very bulky and like strong. Like they're like I feel like a trait that I've seen Bigfoots have is just like this immense strength.
Really?
So you really wouldn't want something like that charging at you.
I don't know. I feel like throughout the research that I've seen, and mainly like more depictions and descriptions, most of them seem like Bigfoot is kind of lean. He's kind of lean.
Oh yeah, I mean,
but
because I've seen depictions of the Yowie, he's lean. Like he's not buff.
He's not buff.
Yeah,
He's
like
lean.
Yeah, I think the lean, him being lean gives him more of an advantage of his moving forward. If he was bulkier, I mean, it doesn't matter if he was bulkier or not. I'd still be terrified of him. But I'd probably have a better chance outrunning the bulkier 12 feet thing than the 12 feet linear thing. Cause
another thing, it depends on the version you're talking about. Like this version that Yowie's thin. But I feel like I don't know, again, the skunk ape, I'm gonna bring him up because I'm not gonna talk about him later. The skunk ape is supposed to be shorter, but he's also depicted as buffer and thicker a lot of the time.
Yeah. Very big and large. very large muscles and broad shoulders.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's largely to do with the
I
air.
still would be afraid of that lean monster, just because even if he
It's a
grabs
monster.
me, no, well, yeah, but even like you know, the strength of the jaws of animals that we definitely have seen, like alligators or bears. You know how strong those jaws are. Imagine a 12-foot thing, how strong his arms would be. The length of his arms, just grabbing you and just like
Tearing you in half.
Yeah.
He can easily tear you.
I'm talking about
You'd be
jaw
paper to him.
strength. I don't know if it's true, but I was reading one time that like even us humans have pretty strong jaw. Like the reason we don't bite our own fingers off is because like we have like this mental restraint.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I heard that
they
too.
say that it's so easy to bite through our fingers. It's just like biting through a carrot.
Mm-hmm. But because
of just that
your brain's just like, nope, you're not gonna bite your finger off, bro.
Mhm.
And you don't bite down very hard.
Right. You want to move on to the next one?
Yeah. So the next one I want to talk about. I just realized it's just a bunch of weird ones. The next one I want to talk about is the orang pendek. Again, probably butchering that, but it's from Indonesia, specifically Sumatra. Now, if you don't know where Sumatra is, it's where the Sumatran tiger is from. We have a world map up there. Want to look at that? Yeah, but it's in Indonesia. Sumatra is the area it's associated with, and there's one reason I chose this one, and it's its size because it is tiny.
Oh,
it is 30 to 60 inches.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Whoa. No, it's okay. I don't think we care.
Yeah,
Okay. So it's 30 to 60 inches. So if you think about that, I mean, 60 inches is still pretty tall. What is that like? No, it's not that tall actually. No, it's actually my height. It's shorter than me.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind. I don't know why I was thinking.
Yeah, that's 5 feet.
I was thinking a foot was 10 inches right now.
Nah.
Don't ask why. but that's really short, right? That's like like on average it's 5 to what would it be 2.5 feet, 5 to 2.5 feet. That is tiny. And I don't know. I just found that very interesting. And I mean they're really old though. Like they've been documented in Indonesia for over a century at this point.
Oh, dang.
Whoa.
So they're older than Bigfoot, and they're okay. I mean, a lot of these are really old because they've been documented in folklore. Like for the Aboriginals, that was that was Yowie, and for here in Indonesia, over centuries worth of documented appearances of this orang pendek. It's just like
right. I mean, our name for Bigfoot came in the 50s, but there was many documents before then of strange sightings of this thing.
Yeah. And then I don't know, there's not that many facts I have about it. I think one thing that's very interesting is that it is located in this place called the TNKS, or in English, it's an abbreviation in their language. In English it'd be the Kerichi Sablat National Park. Again, probably butchering that, but it's interesting because it's this place because Indonesia is having a problem with deforestation right now. And it's this place that is not getting deforested because of how inaccessible it is. And this is the area it's being like recorded in, like where they've been sighted.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very interesting in my opinion because it's just like a lot of these places like for like Bigfoot for me, it doesn't make any sense. It's like because there's like Bigfoot has this big area and you're not gonna there's no solid way to find him because of just the range he's in, or like the Yeti, or even I don't even know the range of the Yowie, but the Yowie I believe is like East Australia, like it's just all that part of Australia, and it's just like you're not gonna find him, personally, like because that area is huge, but like to be mostly spotted in one national park in the country, like of Indonesia, like just look at the country of Indonesia compared to like our countries, like even if it was the whole island, it wouldn't be that big, which obviously it's not. Like it's not a whole island, and it's just it's located in such a small area, yet it's been there, and that makes me think like this seems like something like more possible than like a 12-foot monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Sense, yeah.
But I also I wanted to touch up on its name. Just how it's the orang. orang.
Like the ape.
Like the
Orang
ape, yeah.
too.
So I think they were just naming it closer to the ape, as in it's closer to an ape figure. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I saw the drawings about it. When I saw when I saw the drawings of it, it just reminds me of an orangutan that's 10 to 2 feet. But I believe the translation, because it is, I think it's just short man or something like that. What it translates to. Again, I don't know. I read the article. I read these articles. I don't know that to be 100% true because I don't have that in my notes, and that's my bad. But I do believe it just translates to short man or something like that. I don't know. It's just very interesting.
No, yeah, it is. It is because most of the talk about Bigfoot, this especially like in the U.S., right? It's they're recorded. The sightings are recorded everywhere. It's not just in one place. Which leads you to believe that either this thing has been moving from state to state naturally in that amount of time, or there's more. And if this orang is located in just one specific spot, is there one or is it more?
I like how in the U.S. here, they're depending on where you go, they have a different name for Bigfoot or Sasquatch, or like the skunk ape. And I think that's just kind of cool. Like the natives of the area, like, okay, so this is what we call it, but it's just, it's just another Bigfoot.
Essentially.
Essentially, yeah.
Well, I wanted to touch up more on. Well, I wanted to ask you about the appearance of it, because talking about it, I just pictured like this very like short, hairy dude. But you said you saw drawings of it. Like, how was it depicted in the drawing?
Well, I mean, its hair is supposed to be light brown to gray, so that's another thing that I thought was interesting. But it has long arms, like I think the arms they drew were comically long, and its hair. I feel like Bigfoots are very often depicted with long hair, but it's supposed to have short hair, which again, I mean, it looks a lot like an ape to me, like when you see it, but its face is weird, and then it's supposed to like the top of its head. Supposed to have a different color hair, like black. Like if he had like separate hair, like us.
Right.
Like, I think that's interesting because it has the characteristics of an ape, but yet it's still the characteristics of a man.
That's really cool. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I wanted to touch upon that because I didn't really know what to picture in my head when you were describing this. You want to move on to the next one?
Okay. So next, this is not that unique. But I felt it was necessary to touch up on him because, in my opinion, this is the second most famous iteration of him, if not the most famous. It's the Yeti, or the Abominable Snowman. Okay, so the countries where he's been sighted, it's quite a bit. Bhutan, India, Nepal, Siberia, which is not its own country, it's a region in Russia, and Tibet, which is also not its own country. And it's been spotted in in one specific region, and that is the Himalayas. I mean, we've all heard about this guy, the Yeti, and the Abominable Snowman. Originally, though, his name, like, this is what the indigenous people call him, and it's Mete. And I think it's just very interesting because he wasn't given the name the Abominable Snowman until 1921. That's the first mention of the Abominable Snowman. And it was the same year as the British Mount Everest Reconnaissance Expedition. Yeah, I mean, so it's not really their name for it. Like, the Abominable Snowman was not... the Abominable Snowman was not born until 1921, when the British came to explore Everest. Right. And I think that's very interesting. And I don't know, I'll mention, like, other differences than the... To Bigfoot. I mean, he's generally depicted as bigger than Bigfoot, larger. His fur, obviously, because he's in the Himalayas, it's white. I think that's something interesting. And then from the drawings and everything, Bigfoot's always more muscular. I mean, not Bigfoot. I'm sorry. The Yeti or Mete is obviously usually more muscular and well built. And I don't know. I mean, I just felt like I had to touch up on him. I don't have much to say, because I felt like anything that we could say has already been said. I gave you the origins of the Abominable Snowman because I felt like that's what we in America know him as. Not so much the Yeti, and definitely not Mete. I didn't even know about the name Mete until I read the article. And I don't know. There was one more thing. Oh, and I mean, I mean, for me, it makes sense that no one's found proof in a Yeti about like finding a Yeti because it's in the Himalayas. Like,
Yeah, nobody's gonna go up there to just research that.
Yeah.
I mean, people would go up there, but I doubt it is so unlikely for them to do it just for the sheer amount of space that they'd have to just track and keep track of.
Yeah. Himalayas are
well, I mean,
vast.
they've brought hair before to scientists. On different occasions, a lot of the time it just ends up being a prehistoric bear, which I think is interesting. I forget the name of the bear, but I think once or twice it's been the same bear, like the same species of bear.
Right.
So I think it's just like could it be not the Yeti, but this ancient bear that's still alive?
Okay, I see.
You know?
That's interesting. Yeah.
That's interesting to think of.
I was thinking you were gonna say like this ancient bear that some people saw a long time ago, but maybe they didn't get a good look at him. So to them, it was a little more humanoid, because you know how.
Regular bears actually do stand on their 2 feet.
Yeah, I was gonna say because they can't stand on their 2 feet. So maybe a long time ago, that's just what they saw, and they were like, "Yo, we saw this like this like humanoid ape like creature standing on its 2 feet in the Himalayas, bro. You gotta check it out, man." And then from there, maybe that's how legend was born.
Yeah.
Who
Right,
knows?
so. You know that brings me to a question too. You think just because there's polar bears and then there's grizzly bears, right? And you think that old ancient bear had relatives that were not in the cold, so that leads us to be our versions of Bigfoot. It's still that ancient bear living.
Well, I mean, I think the idea behind Bigfoot is just he's a Yeti that does not live in the Arctic or not the Arctic. He's in the mountains. He's just a Yeti.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's improbable to believe that a lot of these so-called sightings weren't just bears. You know,
I get
like
that.
regardless of them being relatives to this ancient bear or not. Like I'd be willing to put money on whether or not there was sightings that people said were Bigfoot, but were really just a bear.
Right.
I think you related this to bears, and I think the difference between the Yeti and this Bigfoot is a lot similar to the difference between a polar bear and a grizzly bear, color and size. Oh, and also how well they can swim, but that's for the polar bear because it's in the Arctic. We're not talking about that. But the biggest difference between a grizzly and a polar bear is, other than their appearance, is the color of their hair and their size. Because polar bears are bigger and they have white colored hair, which the Yeti is bigger and has white hair, and the grizzly is smaller and has brown hair. They're still massive, but
right.
Alrighty. So this last version, another interesting thing. Also I think the area will surprise you. But I personally thought that this was a very funny version of Bigfoot, but that people still believe in. Keep in mind. So his name was Barmanu. That's again.
Barmanu.
Probably butchering that.
Okay.
The regions he is native to are Pakistan and Afghanistan. So I think that's it.
Wait, hold on. So you're telling me like that space right there? He's native in that space?
Yeah, the mountain. So he's generally more Pakistani. More Pakistanis believe in him, and he's native to the northwestern areas of Pakistan, according to Pakistanis. Now, there are two facts here that I wanted to mention. Appearance wise, he's basically Bigfoot.
Okay.
But there are two facts about him, which I found very interesting. So he is typically this is a common belief in Pakistan that he abducts women to mate with them so they have their children.
No, it's interesting.
And that he wears animal skins on his head and on his back. So I personally thought that was very funny. Just thinking about Bigfoot, but he does. It's just Bigfoot with these extra steps. I think the woman part was funny. I'm just like, to me that makes no sense, especially considering the size of Bigfoot. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
And then the animal skins I thought was interesting because it sounds like clothing.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's almost like, well, it made me think of like those berserker warriors who would wear those animal skins to channel their energy or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think it's very interesting that this depiction of him has him wearing what we would consider clothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's weird. I mean, Bigfoot fur, you know, keeping him warm that way. At least that's how we believe it to be happening. But I'm wearing clothes.
Yeah. I just thinking about it just makes me want to laugh. Like Bigfoot wearing a vest. he's got his little leather vest on. Then he goes out. He goes out at night clubbing.
He's got a little raccoon.
He's got a little raccoon hat, little black leather
gator
vest, and some gator boots. And he goes out clubbing to look for women. He's like, "Yo, how you doing?" You know, like, and they're like, "Oh my God!"
Just this massive guy,
this massive dude.
Yeah.
Okay. So just really quickly, just want to point out some similarities because I felt like it's necessary to point this out. So if you notice, most of these come from mountainous areas. So that's one thing. And then most of them tend to be big, very big. And then the color of their what? Shut up. But yeah, most of these tend to be very big, 6 feet at least. As for all of these except the orang pendek, which I mentioned. But I read about other versions like the skunk ape, and I read about there's just tons of versions. There's the Yeren. I read about the Yeren, but unfortunately there's not that much information on him except that he lives in the he's Asian. I forget what Asian country he's from. But yeah, he's an Asian folklore, and for most of these except for the Bigfoot, they are based in traditional folklore. Mm-hmm. Which I think is very interesting, and it makes me think how we got to Bigfoot, because, again, these are all traditions or folklore, like, passed down through word of mouth to their children and stuff, and that's why they still have it, and it's just, like, it's very interesting how that evolved into Bigfoot. Okay.
Well, not that.
Well, they did, I mean, you get what I mean, like, the
whole similarity.
All, like, they merged, in my opinion.
What are you talking about? Well, you talk about folklore, like those were like stories people told, right? You know, and typically they had like they had a reason to tell the stories. Is like as a warning. Like back at like home in Mexico, it was like Llorona, you know, like don't go out because she's gonna get you. So maybe that's what it kind of was for the people in Pakistan about the Yeti. Was for the women was like, you know, be more careful because there's this creature out there who can take you. You know, it's like this cautionary tale. I feel like that's where probably that part comes from.
Okay.
Well, that actually also kind of connects to what I was saying earlier about people making connections that aren't there. That what if maybe these folklore stories just share one similarity, and that's people trying to kind of grasp at straws and try to make sense of something that you can't really draw conclusions to.
No, yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, I was just saying because it's very interesting how a lot of these stories, maybe they weren't very common, very similar in the past, but nowadays a lot of them sound very similar at this point.
You know what it also could have been? Just because like one person could have heard it and then could have gone to another place and then just told it differently, and then that other person could have heard it and then put their own spin on it and kept going like that. Right. And nobody realized it because there was no way of documenting it that everybody else here in the world also had this version or similar to this until now. Until now, the point where we can.
It's like this big game of telephone. You know, you whisper it in someone's ear, they whisper it in someone else's, and slowly it loses its details, or maybe people add something new. You know.
It was October 25th, 2010, at around 1 a.m, when a man heard a noise outside his house that sounded like a long blast from a car horn or a police siren. On his TV screen, he hit the mute button and realized the noise was more like a wounded animal's howl. He thought it was a bear or a lion in the mountains. A buddy came to pick him up the following evening to drive to a casino at around 8 p.m. The two men were traveling about 4 miles when they heard the noise again. They slowed down, and the noise stopped. They started driving again, but then immediately had to swerve to avoid a vehicle that had stopped unexpectedly in front of them. The two gamblers then saw what appeared to be a hairy creature, at least 10 feet tall, coated in dark brown or black fur with eyes sparkling from their headlights' reflection. Human eyes don't do that, the witness explained in his report. The animal walked off after 20 to 30 seconds with a fluid gait that was clearly non-human. and the two men drove off quickly in terror. That night, the two men took a different route home to avoid encountering the beast again. The witness now calls himself a true believer in Bigfoot, but added, "If it's Bigfoot or not, I don't want it coming around my house."
That's it.
I mean, I think that was personally. I'm not trying to discredit the story, but I would think that for me, like I try to calm myself down, and that that howl at the beginning was just him connecting them because he was scared of what he saw on the road, and I would veer away from that because again, I mean, it's just something we do as humans.
Yeah.
Okay. I know. Any other comments before we move into the next section?
Well, I mean, I kind of agree with you with what you're saying because it's kind of hard to, hearing something that you can't explain and then seeing something that you can't explain. You can't help but connect those two inexplicable things, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, yeah. So like, if you hear like loud clanging and then you go outside and someone like banging on the garbage cans, you're gonna be like, oh, obviously those two are connected.
Yeah.
Whereas this, you have to maybe reach a little more to make the connection, but I think it's still reasonable as to why someone would make those connections.
Okay, so we will enter
The questions part of the podcast.
questions part of the podcast. Are you
Q&A?
ready?
Is
The
that what we're
Q&A.
talking about? Okay.
From our fans.
Okay.
From our one fan. Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
Hey.
She doesn't even-
Technically, we have 20.
So this is the 20 subscriber
20.
special.
This is the
Whoa,
20 subscribers
20
special.
subscribers? Damn.
Right. Hit us with it,
That's
Johnny.
true love right there. That's true love. You know, we're gonna keep putting these out
Mhm.
for
Support us on
20
Patreon.
and plus that come out.
Yeah.
If any come out.
If any
Yeah.
come out for this, okay. So, the first question I will ask is, what do you like of all the versions you've heard? What do you guys think the most believable version of the Bigfoot is?
Ooh.
Damn. Okay, let's see.
That's like that's one that gets like I haven't even thought about that.
Okay.
Okay.
So, if you guys haven't thought about it, then I will start because I got to look at all of these beforehand.
Right.
And personally, I immediately rule out the Bigfoot, the Yowie, and the what was the other one? And the one the Barmanu.
But
Oh, the Barmanu.
Those three I immediately rule out because I mean in my eyes, especially the Yowie, not too believable. I think the two that are most convincing to me is the orang pendek and the abominable snowman.
Slash
Orang pendek, it's a very simple explanation to me. It's the size. The size makes it so believable for me that guy can just hide, you know. And then for the abominable snowman, it's just the region, the Himalayas.
Mhm.
Who's gonna go up there? That's to me. That's why those two are the most believable. But if I had to choose between one of the two, it'd probably be the orang pendek, just 100% on the size.
On the size, not only because of where it's located.
Well, I mean, the region is hard to assess, but it's just not that big of a region. I mean, I get it that it's hard, but like if it doesn't have the range of all these other cryptids.
Mhm.
It has a much smaller range, but I still think it's much more believable than like the Barmanu or the Yowie.
Alright, well, I'll go next. Because I actually agree with most of what you said, except for the last part about picking between the orang pendek and the yeti. Because I would actually favor the yeti. Because I feel like the circumstances that the Himalayas presents for animals and anything living up there, I feel like it's not far-fetched to think that something like a yeti would evolve to that terrain in that way that they are depicted to have. And I just think that overshadows the orang just a little bit for me in my eyes. But I still do really believe that the orang is up there with the yeti if I were to choose.
Yeah, I would agree with both of you. I like the orang. Like he makes a good point, and I think that's kind of why I would think that one is the most believable. Because it's like you hear all these stories about like all these versions of them, and they're all just freakishly tall usually, or they're really tall, and it's like I don't know. I feel like we would some more people would have spotted them or something, you know, like there we'd have some other evidence, and then just the fact that he's like the orang is like the size of a regular human, like the height of a regular human, like that to me makes sense. I think that's why that one's believable. But the one I would believe in the most would be the Yeti. Just kind of basically for some reason Eduardo said, like it would be able to adapt to that, and like nobody's gonna go up there. Like it's way too cold. There's too much area to cover. No.
I don't know. I agree with all those reasons, but I'm with Johnny on this one. I go for the orang, mainly because just because of that reason that you think that because he could have evolved in that terrain, I feel like just if anything was there long enough, I don't think there would be any resources for it to just even keep going there.
Okay,
so I believe that the orang is more believable, especially not only the height, but where it's located. That makes it way more like it's right there.
Yeah. Another thing, like the orang is still located in really dense jungle. Like it's immensely dense. Like it's rainforest, and the fact is that like at his tallest he is 5 feet, and at his shortest he is 2.5 feet. That is the size of a what, like a toddler. That's not that's another thing.
It could just be like that's baby to adult.
I also like the fact that it's in one area. Like it's only spotted in this, this little area, whereas to every other one it's like Himalayas, snowy mountains. Woods,
national parks,
woods, jungles.
you could go. You can say with your friends, let's go Bigfoot hunting.
And you can go. You pick like 3 different regions. You pick 3 different regions, and like there's like a chance that you'll find Bigfoot. But like the orang,
no. That's actually like there'd be like a 0.0000 like 1 chance of you barely even getting a sign that Bigfoot is real. But with the orang, especially where it's located, you have a higher chance of bumping into an orang than
just accident. Right. Well, that was what Brian was saying. That pick like 2 different places across the United States, and the chances of seeing them are the same. Whereas the orang, it's there or it's not. You know.
Yeah, you can't go to another country, another area, another region looking for it because you won't find it there.
Yeah, because that's where they say it's spotted, and that's where it should be.
Yeah.
If it's there.
I mean, another thing that I think we fail to put in perspective, though, is that we say it's small, but for even a team of humans to cover, it's incredibly difficult. Right. Like that's the reason that there's struggles like to find it and all that.
Okay. Like it'd take forever to imagine just cutting down that whole little space where it should be, right? I mean, even then, I doubt that you'd even. No, you could probably run into it if you find it at that point. But it'd take a while. It'd take a while for you to get there.
Okay then. So I'm gonna segue from that. Do you believe in any of the versions of Bigfoot? If you do not, why not? And if you do believe in any of the versions, why do you believe in that version? Once again, I will start us off with saying that I do not believe in any of these versions of Bigfoot, mostly for lack of evidence.
Lack of evidence.
Well, like scientific evidence. I know there's this photo evidence, picture evidence,
but most of that can be altered,
Yeah. I mean, for me, what matters is what the scientific consensus is on these things.
Right. I mean, I guess.
Well, what about you, Adam?
I don't know how to say it like this. It'd be if I believed, like completely, it'd be in the Bigfoot mainly because it's like the most one that I hear, and it's more likely. I give it more. I put more things to it, as in maybe it's not just one, it's many. So that's why it's located in a bunch of different places across. That's how I see it. I give it like extra bonus points. Like I start adding my own additional like stories to it and evidence just to make myself believe that it is real. That's in the sense that I would believe that it's real, right? But I don't fully believe, and it's just due with the sheer lack of scientific evidence as well. there's no real proof. Like even the FBI was investigating Bigfoot as it was said, but there's nothing conclusive.
So no.
So not fully, no.
Yeah, I don't believe in them entirely, but I would like to believe that the Sasquatch, Bigfoot, the orang, and
the
Yeti were real. Like, I guess the kid in me, would like to believe that they're real, but the older you get, the less you believe in it. I feel like just because as a kid, I remember I would see these pictures of them and stuff, like the documented pictures,
Mm.
But as you get older, you're just like, that's a guy in a suit.
Yeah,
That's a blurry picture. That's a bear.
Yeah, that's a really bad picture.
That's a really bad picture.
With all our technology advancing for some reason, we're always getting these type of pictures.
It's like
come on,
guys. Like,
I mean, as you get older, you start to just realize, but it's not just your kid in you, but it's just something that sparks in you that you just want to believe that this thing is real.
You're like,
you rooting for it to kind of be real,
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I feel.
Okay.
I think I would believe it if I saw scientific evidence or if I saw them with my own 2 eyes.
Ooh.
That's it.
Ooh.
Other than that, I'd be like, nah.
All right.
You show me a picture of the Yeti? I'd be like, that's not the Yeti.
That's not the
Where's
Yeti.
the proof? It's right there. That's not.
That's not.
Now, where did this photo come from?
I need the photographer.
I need the photographer.
You know if he was intoxicated.
I need to know where he took those pictures and how we get there.
Well, okay. I guess before I answer, let me just say, and this is a quote. I'm not sure the name of the scientist said this, but how it goes is, when all the evidence is inconclusive, you can't add it up to make something conclusive. That being said, I believe that there is something out there that we haven't fully grasped the concept of. Whether that's this sort of ape-man hybrid, whether it's Bigfoot in all his glory, or it's a tribe of humans who got lost on the evolutionary trail. I believe that there is something out there like that.
Cool. Alrighty.
You know what? Bringing up the tribe of humans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot to think about that. But it was in my back. It was in the back of my mind, but I forgot it. Just put
really
that
consider
as
that.
really consider it, because you're right. Because there have been tribes being there have been tribes discovered in rainforests and in places that just don't want to be included.
Communication with the other outside world. Yeah,
that they don't want to no longer be part of our society, especially trying to get them. Well, not to get them to that, but it's just hard for them.
I definitely do like that theory.
Yeah, that it could have been
it could have been evolution that just kind of
went south.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Next question. I don't believe this won't take very long. Because we've already kind of touched on it. Is what would make you believe? Other than, of course, looking with your 2 eyes. Brian already said scientific evidence. I agree with Brian. The only other thing that would make you believe is scientific evidence. And if you two have anything other than that, or do you want to move on to the next question?
Well, I think I would say, what kind of scientific evidence?
Okay.
A bone or something, hair.
I feel like it would, to me, it would just have to be the scientific community saying, yeah, he exists.
Yeah, he exists.
Yeah, that's it. That's all. I don't need them to have a full skeleton. I don't need them to have a live specimen.
Yeah.
I just need them to say, yeah, we have DNA, because more likely than not, the first thing that's gonna pop up is DNA evidence.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yeah, we have DNA evidence. This is a new creature that we have not discovered yet. And I'm just like, okay. And they're like, and then they start finding bones, and they'll say, oh yeah, it looks like the Bigfoot. This is probably the Bigfoot. I'm like, then cool. Then the Bigfoot is real. Try not to run into that.
Yeah.
Try not to run into that next time I go camping.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, science.
Yeah.
And I thought I had to worry about bears.
Yeah,
Now you're
worry
telling me I gotta worry about
coyotes.
an 8-foot
Now you gotta tell
tall.
me I gotta worry about Bigfoot,
You're,
man.
you're telling me this 12-foot man is gonna come stumbling into my campgrounds because I'm cooking sausages? I'm just not going camping.
You're telling me,
Simple as that.
you're telling me I'm gonna be sitting here roasting these weenies, and if I look up and in the corner of my eyes I see him with his hand on the tree trunk, looking at me and saying, "Yo, can I have one?"
He's like, yo,
I'm not gonna.
I'm not gonna say no.
He'd be like, yo, can you
I'll be
spare
like, "Yo,
those?"
scoot in over here. You know
Yeah.
what? Pull that trunk over here. Yeah, you sit with me."
He just rips the tree out of
the ground.
out of the ground, and then splits it and just sets it up as a little.
Yeah, you
chair
want
for
half of
himself.
it? You know what? I kind of do want half of
Yeah,
that.
yeah. He's like, I got you.
You just can't say no to this
Can't
man.
say no to this, man. Next time you go camping, you bring like a big old Yeti. No, this isn't a joke. Like, this isn't a pun. A Yeti cooler full of like meat, and then he shows up, and you're like, I was ready for you, and you pull it out. And
You
then
pull
just,
it out, whip it out, and just be like, "See, it says Yeti. I was ready."
And he's gonna be like, that's an offensive term.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I didn't know. He starts playing.
He's like,
with you.
he's like-
I
he's
got
like,
you.
I'll let it slide. She's got all that meat.
Oh.
Alright, well, yeah.
Whoa, relax.
I do think, yeah, that pretty much sums up the answers for that question.
Yeah, this has to be evidence or eyesight. And when I mean, like, my eyesight, I need to be probably from distance of I'm almost dead kind of eyesight. And I hope I live that experience.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that,
Because if it's anything else, if it's like I'm here and then probably like more than 10 feet or something like that away from me,
I
and
think
we're
10
in the
feet's
woods.
still
Oh
believable.
no, 10 feet.
I
I mean,
think-
in
I
the
think it'd have
story
to be
earlier, the
like
guy
20
was
feet.
like, the guy said that at one point, the Bigfoot was like 15 feet away from him and his son. I think 15 feet is.
I think
Definitely
anything
close enough.
over 20 is where I would start to be like, because people you judge your eyesight based on the meter the distance of 20 feet.
And you know what? Also, it has to be for a long span of time because sometimes I look at people and I try to
yeah.
I can't remember it clearly, and if I don't remember it clearly I'm sorry. I feel like I'm gonna have to say I don't believe it anymore, and that's just due to my own sheer memory.
It definitely can't just be a quick glance. It has to be like I have to be looking at that spot and realize. What is that?
Who are you?
I have to be looking at him. He has to be looking at me. Direct contact. We're having a whole conversation, just looking at each
other. Head nod
other.
at the very least, just for confirmation. But like, yeah, it's
He
me, Big
just
Fuck.
gives you one of those where he's like just tilts his head up like, what's up?
Dip on.
I think he's just like, hi.
Hi?
Hi?
You hungry?
He just looks at you and does that thing like in Shrek. This is the part where you run. Okay. And you just
He
take
looks at
off.
you and he's just like, don't tell me. You're gonna run again? Yeah.
You're gonna run, and then you just start taking off. They always do that.
Well, if you set out to go find a Bigfoot, what kind of interaction would you guys be fishing for? You know, just like he walks by you, or
Personally, best interaction would be he walks by me, does not notice me, but I see him and I can tell that is a Bigfoot.
And you
You know
can
what?
tell that's not a suit.
That is not a suit. Yes.
I gotta be on top of like a tree, and I gotta see this man just walking, just
Walking.
I mean, if we're talking
going
about
going on by his day, and I'm
mean-
here just taping him, butt naked, not like that, but you know what I'm saying.
but I mean, if we're talking ideal, like the perfect experience would be him coming up to me, letting me just letting me touch him, and then him walking away.
Ooh, that'd be perfect. Yeah,
That'd be like, wow.
I'd still be crying. Like I'd still be crying.
I'd be terrified.
Well, for me, the perfect situation, quote unquote, would be anything that lets me get a good picture of it.
That too.
Yeah, you know?
Okay.
Like whether he's charging at me and I have to run for my life at one point, or whether he's just walking by, I want that picture.
What if he's walking by, and he looks at you? You already have your phone out, and he gives you that pose.
He gives me
He's
the
the
Bigfoot pose.
legendary
The
Bigfoot
Bigfoot
pose.
pose.
Legendary
Yeah, he
Bigfoot
gives
pose.
you that pose, and you have to take the picture because he's posing for
He's
you.
posing.
But just because he's posing for you, now it's fake.
Oh.
And then you
What
take
if-
the picture. He like looks at you and he's like, "That'll be $20,"
That'll be $20, and no one's gonna believe you.
and no one's gonna believe you. So Just hand them over.
I'll be like, okay. I only have this $50.
That'll do.
I don't break
Wait,
change.
why do you need money?
Why do you need money?
You live in the forest.
All right. Next question.
Next
Yeah,
question.
we still have a couple of these to run by.
That's okay.
Okay, so but I think these are a lot shorter, but I feel like they're points that we had to touch on.
Mhm.
So the one I want to bring up is give me a second, something.
That's fine.
Another thing I wanted to bring up was when did you guys first hear about any iteration of the Bigfoot? Again, I'll start us off. For me, it was the Scooby Doo movie for the Yeti or the Abominable Snowman. I don't remember the name. I had written it down. I obviously I don't have it on me, but yeah, that's me. Scooby Doo, 2007.
Yeah. Mine was for Bigfoot. And that was on Animal Planet Lost Tapes. That's the first time I fully comprehended the grasp of this legend, and it was in 2008. The show was released, so I was 7 years old.
I think the first time I saw or heard mention of Bigfoot was this TV show on Sci-Fi. It was called Destination Truth.
Yeah.
And it was like an episode where he was hunting Bigfoot.
Yeah, recall.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was back when. Well, we were in elementary, and we had already known each other. So at the very least, third grade, right? We would, me and Johnny would get these choose your own adventure books, and I picked one out that was about the Yeti and the Abominable Snowman, and that's the first time I can remember about hearing about this. And I thought, yes, this is something I want to see.
Nice.
In a movie.
In a movie.
I felt because of our answers, this is a great segue into our next question. Is how do you guys feel about how pop culture portrays the Bigfoot?
Ooh.
Okay. I will start by saying that a lot of instances in pop culture, especially as of recent, do not do the Bigfoot any justice whatsoever. I think the Bigfoot is for me. Obviously, my first interaction was Scooby Doo. So
yeah.
I'm not. I know that's not a great first time, but nowadays I'm like,
Oh, we're fine. I think. Yeah. Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Nowadays that I have more experience with it, I think that the perfect I'm not gonna say imaginary, but imaginary Bigfoot is a cryptid within all these these fake ass documentaries. I think it's fun. I think that's the best version of him because it's still fun, and it's still it holds that mystery. But I feel like a lot of these other instances in pop culture and stuff try to make him this nice person that he's just misunderstood, Whereas I think the cryptid version that is presented by maybe the Sci-Fi Channel or the History Channel, I feel like that's the best version of Bigfoot, and I don't like the version that's portrayed nowadays with the whole the movie Abominable and the son of Bigfoot.
That one.
What about Monsters Inc., the Abominable Snowman?
I'm gonna let that one slide. I'm gonna let that one slide.
That man was very. That man was a gentleman.
Yes.
Right.
You know who else was John? Never mind.
For media, I feel like at the beginning, it really was Bigfoot was portrayed as this really big scary monster, and then it kind of trailed off into this into this kid friendly type of thing. To this animal who's just not this animal, but this creature that's just misunderstood.
I really, really don't like that anymore because how
Bigfoot was scary.
We grew up. Bigfoot was this thing that you just don't want to mess with. That's why it's just something you want to be friends with.
Yeah, that's why I agree with Jonathan when he was saying that was the History Channel, Animal Planet, and Sci-Fi. When they do segments on or when their shows do segments on Bigfoot,
or even
their shows they have shows all about Bigfoot, and they really portray him as this big, scary,
mysterious
creature. And it's I like that. but it's like I mean I get that you want to turn this creature that everybody knows
into a profit
and you want to make some profit out of it. So of course you're gonna make them more kid friendly, more relatable. You know,
Bigfoot in the media is very romanticized, is what
Yeah.
we're saying. Yeah.
You know what? Us doing this and even talking about it, he is overused. Everybody is probably over him.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just about the sheer amount of.
There's just the volume of their use, the way they use them.
Bigfoot needs to make a comeback. Hashtag bring back Bigfoot.
Bring back. No,
Bigfoot.
bring back old Bigfoot.
Bring back old Bigfoot.
You know what I'm
Big
saying?
scary man.
The old Bigfoot.
He's got to go on tour. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
He's
I need to bring
He's
him
gonna
back.
go on tour. He's gonna strut across the stage in the middle of the stage. He's gonna
Give
hit
him
that
the
famous
pose.
Bigfoot pose, and he's gonna walk off, and then that's it.
You know what it is? Every time he does that pose, everything just becomes a blur.
Everything,
Yeah.
and everybody's all quiet. Everybody's like,
Bro.
Like if you
So it's
got
not the
20/20
images.
vision,
Bro.
you just
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have to do it. That's his stand.
No,
Oh, that is his
That's his stand, dog.
okay.
You know what? Let's go to the next question.
All
I don't
right,
wanna
next
start
question.
this
Next
right
question. Alrighty, so I have two more questions. I have one that doesn't really fit in, and one that I feel is the perfect way to end it. So I'm gonna start with do you think Bigfoot could have ever existed? And for me, the simple answer to this is yes, because we have very similar remains from our ancestors. It's just that Bigfoot could have existed at one point. I can get behind the idea. Maybe they were just really big hominids, you know?
right, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. I definitely can concur that Bigfoot existed once before, and if he existed once before, he could possibly still be around right now. Could possibly.
I mean,
there are.
I mean, you see stories all the time of these creatures that scientists thought were extinct, but actually weren't extinct. They were just, in hiding, or they just
Really good at hide and seek.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really good at hide and seek. But yeah, they were in places where people just weren't going. And I feel like in a time, Bigfoot probably could have been a real creature. And maybe he survived through all that time, and maybe people have spotted him. But I mean,
we could have branched off three ways that could have been also a possibility, and one of the ways was a Bigfoot kind of thing, and so that could have been like a thing. They existed among the same time we did, and it's just that I guess we evolved more in a sense, and just overpopulated and rendered them extinct.
Yeah. Okay. Do you like to? Do you want to answer, Eduardo, or?
I think that pretty much sums it up.
Okay. So I know this question has been answered multiple times throughout this podcast tonight, but I felt like the perfect way to end this, and the perfect way to end our podcast, should just be by saying, how would you react if you saw Abe? In this instance, I guess now it's a Bigfoot. So who wants to start it off, or do you want me to start it off as always?
Okay, how are we seeing this, man?
How are you seeing? You know what?
Yeah, set up a scenario.
Just to make it fun. Worst case scenario: you're in the middle of the woods.
Okay.
This man is charging at you.
This man is charging at me. Worst case scenario, so I assume we're alone?
Yes,
So
you are alone.
Okay.
Alone.
You in the middle of the
so
woods.
you get to
Naked.
live, Brian, because I'm not there with
No
you.
food.
I hate you.
I mean, you got
In the
food.
West.
Okay. You're camping.
It doesn't even matter. It doesn't really matter. Like, he's charging at me. I'm naked, butt naked.
Why are you?
Worst
Actually,
case scenario.
Worst case scenario.
You've clearly never been camping.
When I think about it, in
I
that case,
have.
let's just admit it. We're dead. Okay, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah,
Let's do a scenario where we can live. You're in a house. You're in a cabin.
Okay.
You can be alone or with a couple people. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
In this case, and there's a Bigfoot slamming through your windows. Not coming in yet. He's just breaking your shit right now.
Oh, he's breaking
Oh,
it?
he's breaking him. I'm gonna be like,
Rude.
what kind of bills he paying to be breaking these windows?
No, hold on.
Okay.
If that,
Like you're in your cabin still. He's just throwing shit through your windows right now.
oh, he's throwing shit. So
well,
he's-
I mean, because I'm assuming like he's not gonna
Like,
walk up to you at first.
literal?
right.
Like,
No,
Stop.
Man, come on.
I mean, apes do that. You know?
No,
But
you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
He's
you're
related
right.
to the ape,
You're
you know?
right. You're right. But
I'm just
you know,
saying.
Okay.
you know what he's
So
saying.
I'm gonna start by saying that if I have a car, I am getting in that car and leaving. I am dipping. I am not staying there. And that being said, that is more than enough evidence for me to believe in any sort of Bigfoot ever.
Okay. Alan, you seem to have something on your mind?
I was gonna say, yo, if I have a car, I'm dipping, no questions about it. But would I still believe that that's Bigfoot that was doing that? Now I'd probably just assume that it was like somebody just trying to get in, and that's my first. Probably that would have been my first instinct. But if I got like a good shit look at him, you know.
I mean, it's Bigfoot.
Like
you got
the assumption
I think he's
like,
implying that you've seen him and you're watching him break your window.
Yeah, so it's like you were about to enter, you saw him, and he chucked something at you to make you go inside. Right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll bring that in. Okay, so I don't know what I did to make this man angry. I'm gonna start that off real quick, but yeah, if he starts breaking everything and I'm in that place and I already saw him, dang, I don't know what would happen. I guess if I can dip, I dip, and more than enough, I'll go insane just thinking about the possibility. Because if Bigfoot exists, then that means that a lot of other things could possibly also exist.
Yeah. Right. I mean, Chief, we're talking about Bigfoot. It's an encounter scenario.
Well, I mean, we think about it.
We get it. What he's saying is
no. I mean, he's thinking long term, but I'm thinking about just Bigfoot for now.
In general,
because you know all these other things.
I would only have proof for Bigfoot.
You only have proof.
I'd only have proof for him, so I definitely believe Bigfoot, real, case closed. I don't care what anybody else says. If I saw him, that's it. That's it. Yeah. Right? But that would still lead me to think, oh shit. Mm-hmm. Something out there could also.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about you,
Brian? I mean, I would try to get out of there, honestly. Mm-hmm. If that man's angry, you know, he's angry. But I feel like the way Kevin's are set up, I feel like he would notice me trying to leave. So I'd probably try to leave through the back door or something and make my way to the car and then just drive off. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I would definitely, I would be like, yep, okay, he's real. I'm out of here. I don't want to be here any longer. Mm. Yeah, I'm not trying to be here. I'm not trying to get ripped to shreds.
Mm-hmm. Well, my thing is that if he's outside, what's going to stop him from stopping me getting to the car?
That's what I said going through the back door. Yeah. I was like, he's over there thinking I'm still in the front, messing up the front.
Yeah, and that's what I said. If
I
creep
on out of there.
Yeah, if I could leave, then I would. Yeah, I mean, that's why I put the could, because ain't no way. He chucked something at me. He was already outside, and he chucked me in.
No, for me, it's like if I know the car is closer to X window, then I need to make sure something comes through Y window so that I know he's as far from the car as possible. And while he's making his way to that window, I'm looking for anything to defend myself. Whether it's I have something in the kitchen or I'm picking up a shard of glass he broke. You know, like I'm not gonna make this easy for this man.
If I go down by this dude, I'm going down.
And if he puts himself in front of my car while I'm driving, like who's to say he can't lift it up? But I'm finding out.
I'm just gonna say
no. You're finding out.
I'm gonna find out.
I don't know about that.
Listen, Chief. I would not run through Bigfoot, and there's one simple reason for that. You can run over a deer and be fine, but there's a moose. There's I don't know if you've ever heard the saying, but if there's a moose on the road and there's a ditch, you drive into the ditch, because if you run into that moose, you're going to die. Because it is like running into a brick wall. And considering the size of a Bigfoot, it will be like ramming your car into a brick wall.
And think about it, this Bigfoot's also on a rampage. He already got.
He's already mad.
It's twice.
You hitting him with his car. With your car. He's like.
I mean, like you see him right there. Your first instinct might be, yeah, I'm running you over. But then you start thinking about it, like, damn, I gotta swerve around him. Gotta do something. But being so close to him, who's to say he can't just knock you over?
Exactly. That's my thinking. Is if he can already put himself in front of the car, then what's to say he can't get to me before I can back up? That's what I'm saying. Like maybe I swerve a little so I only get one leg on the edge and try to give myself that extra edge. Point is, I'm finding out what's happening. I'm not running anymore at that point.
I mean, personally, I wouldn't bother running any part of my car into them because it just puts a risk of me messing up my car. And again, because
ruining your exit strategy.
Yeah, ruining my exit strategy, and it's just that because I know what happens when you run into a moose, which is considerably smaller than these sizes of a Bigfoot.
Well, man, I bet you a Bigfoot could eat that dude just for lunch.
Well, again, I did say that for me, the circumstances would have had to been perfect for me to get to the car.
No, yeah,
so aside from that, I'm inside the house at all times.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, cool.
I'm thinking of different ways. I'm thinking like
No,
he's messing up the front. I go through the back, and you get out the back. And you take off.
Just take off.
You just take off in the opposite direction as fast as you can. Or if it's like a 2-story, like a little cabin, you wait for it. You run up the second story. You wait till you hear he's in the first story. You sneak out the window and you jump off.
You know what? I just realized.
And then get in your car.
Would be kind of effective. The attic.
The attic.
Like in a cabin, there the attic is. I mean, that'd be cool.
Atticus?
So,
well,
okay.
I mean, if he really wants to get inside the house, I'm gonna open the door and like use the fireplace to start this huge fire. That's my. If he wants to come in here at that point, then let him come in here.
You know what?
And I'm sitting next to the fireplace. I'm not moving.
I don't know. I mean, I think fire would just light the whole place on fire.
Yeah,
but know that there's an exit.
That's why I'm gonna open the door, let him come in, and set the place
what he's saying
ablaze.
Is he might die, but he ain't dying to no Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
Going out with the bang.
Going out with the bang. Going out in a blaze of glory.
Hold up. The thing. Would you leave any messages or anything to say that?
Of course.
I mean,
at this point, I've already tried to send a dozen texts. Maybe I write notes on my phone and chuck it out the window.
Take a couple of quick pictures.
Video,
I mean,
of everything going on.
You start recording a video and then it's coming at you, and as soon you just chuck it out the window.
Chuck it out the window.
And so then people come pick it up. They're like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
Oh man, he got a crack pound.
Personally. I doubt anyone would believe me, especially if I'm dead, or especially if my house is set on fire. They probably think like
this man went crazy.
Well, that's my thing. Like I see the Bigfoot, like, and it wants to get me. At that point, what do I have to lose?
Right.
That too. Yeah. That's my.
At least that's how I think.
If you ain't got nothing to lose, yeah. But I'd rather go out quick. But by my own terms too, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I don't want my man just stopping the car from hitting him like with his foot. He just stops you.
Yeah.
And then he picks you up, and then it just
goes, you floor it, and then you duck out.
I know we've joked about like speaking to it, but how would you react if a Bigfoot could actually talk and he actually started talking to you?
If Mr. Foot wants to strike up a conversation, he's got to do it from a respectable distance.
Agreed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until
he comes up and you're like, whoa, sir, please. And then he like backs up and he's like, oh, it's my bad. I understand. Let me back up a little. You're like 30 feet away. Is this good?
He looks at his watch. What year is this?
And he's like, is this good? What? And he's like, oh. Is this good?
Why are you yelling at me?
Because you can't hear me. Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know. I mean, I think how long he's been spotted. Not only like in media and everything, like how long he's been documented in our media, but just by the sheer how long he's been spotted, I think he should have, or possibly could have, because of the way he's depicted as a humanoid, have some development of speech.
Right.
I'm not saying it'd be English. I'm not saying it'd be anything else, but it'd be something.
What should be like Turkish or something?
Turkish. It just changes for the regions.
You said speaking some dead language like Latin or something.
Oh.
No need.
Oh, a Mr. Foot that speaks Latin? Yo. That means that he'd have to be around and mental.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, I don't speak Latin.
I don't even.
Okay.
But you know what I do like? Because you brought up SCPs earlier. The end of the SCP when you read it.
Oh, the Bigfoot SCP.
The Bigfoot SCP, and when he at the end, where it's like it's a tribe of them, right? And they write a letter. It's like let us in.
No, it's we remember and we forgive you, and let us in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because and then it's basically a warning that
It's like a threat too.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a threat
Yeah,
because they
it's
say like
or else
and we forgive you, let us in.
Because
or
it's
else.
assumed that the human race pushed out the Bigfoot,
Mhm.
right?
And
It's
in the SCP, it's written that the human race and some other deity, the forest deities, used again magic, and completely
Wipe their memory.
massacred. Okay, I know this is a word that's not very friendly, but they committed a genocide in the SCP. They completely and not only that, like that's not the worst part. Like the genocide would have been enough in my eyes. It was horrendous, like the way to describe it.
cast out the only
No.
Mm.
Not only that, they the forest deities cast a spell on these hominids to get rid of their ability to speech and their intelligence.
Damn.
And that's why at the end of the SCPs we remember because the spell's not working anymore. Oh, and by the way, the humans know what they did was horrible because at the in the middle, like when they finish killing all the Bigfoots, they make the deities erase their memory because of all the atrocities they committed.
Yeah, it's hardcore.
Yeah,
It's messed up.
But imagine that's what actually did happen.
And then it's just,
if that's what actually happened, they don't want to talk to us. Trust me, Chief.
That ain't gonna
They
be
can't
no
talk to
hello,
us.
Mr. Foot conversation.
Yeah,
No,
it's
that'd
gonna
be
be
like,
like-
you get over here now. I'll
That's
teach you
more
what
like
you
the
did to my
first
parents.
scenario we talked about.
Yeah.
Just charging it.
No, but dang.
Yeah, that SCP is intense.
But it's, I mean, a lot of things are far fetched, and I can say
Oh,
this
that's
is definitely far fetched.
No, that's definitely fine. I mean, for starters, you have to have forest deities. Okay.
see, stuff like that's cool and interesting to me. 'Cause
Oh, yeah,
it's an
definitely.
interesting story.
I mean, I
That's
feel
the-
like
that's
it'd
the
be
whole point of
interesting
this
to talk about.
podcast.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. It's definitely interesting.
Not yeah, in that whole area basically.
Okay.
But I think that concludes.
Yeah. Okay. So
the Bigfoot.
okay. So we're gonna wrap up this episode on Bigfoot. Oh,
So like just our final thoughts on it.
I mean, I feel like we've discussed Bigfoot thoroughly. I mean, I don't think we need to give our final thoughts. I think the last thing was a very fitting way to end it. The scenario. I mean, I think at the end of it, the last thing we had to do was have fun, and I think the last thing we did was have fun with it. And I feel like that's how these podcasts should end.
Well,
You know-
I actually
you
do
know-
have a final thought on it.
Go ahead.
If it's okay. I think it's interesting when stories like the ones Brian told depict the Bigfoot coming to you multiple times, because it begs the question, like, if it's really going off of animal instinct, what happened that the Bigfoot is suddenly interested in you? Did you take something that belongs to it? Is it stalking its future prey? Like,
Well,
what's...
maybe because of the region they lived in, it was Virginia, you know, like the guy had guns. Clearly, man was probably a hunter. So, you know, bringing dead carcasses, that smell of raw meat and stuff, probably just. I mean, if it's a creature and it's an animal, you know, like a lot of animals have really good smell, like sense of smell. So that's probably what brought it in.
It'd been like he murdered like one of his like
Okay.
farm animals, you know.
I mean,
You don't know. I mean,
I don't know, but
he could have been
personally,
like, you know.
it's a little far fetched. Okay. I guess that's a wrap for the Bigfoot episode. I guess. So this is Semblance, and tune in next month for the Wendigo, right? That's what we're doing.
Yeah, the Wendigo.
The Wendigo.
The Wendigo and
Ooh, it's a fun word to say.
Wendigo.
Wendigo.
Yeah,
it's like a magic.
I mean, you want to. I mean, okay. So I mean, that was the outro, I guess. But I mean, I think we can talk a little bit more about what we're doing in the future. I guess now that we're done with the podcast itself. So I mean, anything you want to say, to our subscribers? That's weird to say. That's weird to say.
Our 20
I mean,
subscribers.
I love
20
I mean,
subscribers.
20 subscribers as we record.
As of the recording, I love everyone.
Every single one.
Every one of you, I love and
those
appreciate.
16 bots that we created.
16 bucks.
And the 4 of us.
I
who
mean, I just
subscribe
want to
our
state
own channel.
that one of the subscriptions is my other YouTube account. So
I just want to point out that 3 of those are mine too.
I specifically made like 4 different accounts. No, I'm just kidding.
Wait, so we only have one real subscriber?
Look, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Oh, that's my mom.
Shout out to my mom.
No, but yeah, I mean,
to be expected more on our podcast this coming up month. The Wendigo, and then.
Oh, do you want to mention our future topics? All of them?
Well, no.
Possible future topics.
No, I was gonna say, since Semblance is also the team for Mass Trinity, I was gonna put in the. We're also gonna do a middle of the month podcast to explain the reasons to why October was such a busy month for Mass Trinity.
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like that's essential. Okay. But behind the scenes and bloopers.
Also talking about that, yeah. Behind the Mask will be a new channel that will be launched with bloopers of how our filming has been done and every shenanigans that we do behind the scenes.
It's kind of just 20 minutes of Brian walking across the camera, posing like
Bigfoot. I mean. 20 subscribers in the second channel. What's wrong with you? No, I'm kidding.
In this house, we love and respect Bigfoot. Okay.
You know, we love and respect old Bigfoot.
That's true.
Old Bigfoot.
Daddy Foot.
And then I'm gonna let it slide with the Abominable Snowman.
Grandpa Foot.
Grandpa Foot. That's what I'm calling Grandpa Foot.
Mr. Foot.
Okay. I mean, any other announcements?
That was his father.
I mean, because at this point in time, but that'll be a week ago now. Well, no.
Well, at the point of time that we have recorded this, we have already released our teaser trailer for our new movie that will be released the 18th
of
October.
And we've started on My Film, right?
Yeah. And we have started on a brand new series that
coming
will
out
premiere
on Halloween.
On Hallows
On Hallows Eve, which also should be the day this is out, right?
No. This is gonna be out a week before.
No, a week before. No, a week before on Saturday, which would be 26.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So on 26. This is out 5 days before All Hallows Eve.
All Hallows Eve. You know what?
Yeah. But don't worry, October is going to be our busiest month, and sorry to disappoint, but that's the longest we're going to have it for the busiest. Yeah. After that, it's going to be it's going to slow down.
We still have our monthly.
I mean, I think
we'll still have monthly podcasts, and we'll still have
at least two full movies
a month, and even more depending on how we do.
Yeah. I just think another thing we have to mention is just that the workload we have right now is a lot. Yeah. I mean,
our films may not be the longest, but they're kind of tedious with the equipment that we have.
The equipment we have makes it annoying,
and with the sheer locations and time on our schedule
and scheduling for everybody.
We are very proud to be releasing movies out every week, and so it does take a toll,
and it's gonna slow down going on. Yeah, but we've already mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know,
but thank you to everybody.
Yeah. Thanks everyone.
To everyone that watches our films and
everyone who listens to our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We love you all. I guess.
Congratulations to you for getting this far.
You know what?
I'm pretty sure we're an hour and something in.
Yeah. Congratulations to everybody that actually listens to this. And
matter of fact, if you made it this far, I'm gonna shout out my boy Ethan.
Ethan. You know what? If Ethan did not make it this far,
Ethan, if you
we gave him a shout out.
You know what, dude?
You know, come on. You know, I'm gonna hit him with.
You know what we should do?
Come on.
Because we're making a shirt. I mean, how many people are listening at this point? Maybe one.
You know what? All right.
We're making a shirt.
Okay, we're making one full shirt based on our logo right now for us personally. But whoever, if we rack up more comments and more likes on everything, I feel like maybe we can make an extra special edition, one of a kind shirt.
Little giveaway.
A little giveaway already, and free, and just straight out of our pockets. You know?
Yeah. You just gotta be a subscriber. Let us know in the comments. Support us on Patreon.
Oh, I mean, not only that. I feel like the important part. I mean, because I feel like these things should be at the end of the podcast because that shows commitment. That really does show commitment. So if you made it to the end of the podcast, just leave a comment, I guess, and then. We'll
leave a comment and you know what? Actually, leave a comment and talk about what would you do in our scenarios that we talked
Yeah,
about?
actually.
Yeah,
Let us know.
Let us know.
I'd like to read
I'd like
that.
to read those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? And from there, whoever commented, whoever liked, no, basically, you like and comment. If you did both, we'll put your your username on a random generator, and we'll see who gets the.
We'll figure something.
We'll figure
out.
it out. We'll figure it out. You know what I'm saying?
We'll get back to you.
You know, you'll be lucky
really
if
be
everybody gets it.
YouTubers.
We really are YouTubers now. Okay, so let's sign off.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well,
Mom, if you're listening, I want an extra large.
no. Okay. Well. Okay. I'm Eduardo,
I'm Brian.
I'm Alan.
I'm Jonathan.
and we are Semblance, part of Mass Trinity Productions, and we're signing off.